Welcome to today's episode of Embodied Divinity, where we deepen into our relationship with the harder parts of life: contrast, pain, darkness. I'm going to be getting a little spicy and oh so personal as I share what BDSM taught me about turning pain into pleasure. I hope you enjoy. Hey, Divine One, Nikayla Mariah here, inner child and self mastery expert and divine channel at your service. And this is my podcast. It is my mission to guide you back into remembering of all that you are as you stand in your highest self and live this life on earth to your fullest and most joy filled ability. It's time to stand fully in your power, optimize your energy, and let wealth rain down on you as you get clear on your energy, mind, body, and spirit. This is for the divine ones, the cosmic beings, the creatives, industry leaders, and stars who are ready to activate their fullest potential and live a life of purpose, peace, and pleasure as we create a new world. It's time to remember the divine being you are and act accordingly. Let's get started. Hey, Divine Ones, and welcome to this week's episode of Embodied Divinity, where we are really deepening into our relationship with contrast, with darkness, with pain. And I'm going to be sharing my personal story of how BDSM and the sacred practice of submission helped me to deepen my own relationship with pain and darkness and really learn how to alchemize those heavier sensations into pleasure, bliss, joy. So I hope you enjoy. I want to remind you that I just launched a really incredible program, Oracle Initiation. It's a 3-phase program to step in to your own oracle. It is for those who identify as female only. And we will start gathering in March, learning how to be a divine channel of conscious knowledge and really step into that oracle energy. For more information, you can simply reach out to me at info@nikaylamariah.com or on any social media platform. You can also find links below wherever you're listening to this to explore more. And if you're looking for some of that deeper trauma healing, the Inner Child School of Unlearning and Inner Child Oracle cards are a great way to start on healing the shadow and the inner child within. All right, let's get started with today's topic. So, as I said, I'm going to be sharing my personal journey about BDSM and how it helped me cultivate more pleasure in my life by sitting with those harder emotions of pain and darkness. And I want you to know that whether you practice surrendering, submission, sitting with hard sensations with another person or with yourself, whether you do it through a BDSM practice or you simply do it in a quiet meditative state, it's all the same. The point here is really letting yourself submit to the universe, letting the universe, life, be your Dom in that sacred, safe, loving way. So, a lot of people create suffering by resisting their unconscious desires. And these are really hard to spot sometimes because they're things that we never realize that we crave. For example, I have a family member who is constantly complaining, constantly suffering, and constantly creating situations of drama in their life. And regardless of having the tools, the steps, the support to change they continue to choose this thing, because what they're resisting is how much they desire to be loved, taken care of, and seen. And they have this unconscious belief that the only way to do that is through being the victim. But because they're in resistance to being taken care of, because they have another subconscious programming that thinks that's weak or they are undeserving of it, they constantly resist it and fight against all of the ways that the universe and even family and friends try to show up for them. If they could simply sink into the sensation of receiving love and support, and even the sensations that come up of unworthiness and fear of abandonment and rejection, and see them for what they are, sensations or emotions caused by these stories that they've been telling themselves, they could actually create a deep internal energy that could be alchemized into what they do desire, which is conscious, healthy relationships where not only the universe is taking care of them, they are taking care of themselves, and family, friends, and lovers also take care of them. It's when we resist life happening for us rather than deepen into the pleasure here and now that we create our suffering. Life is hard. It's never not going to be hard. There's never not going to be pain and heartbreak. But if you can learn to simply be with the heartbreak, to be with the pain, to be with the uncomfortability, to let yourself go as far as to get turned on by it, then it loses its power over you, and you realize you, in your submission to life, are the one in control, in power. And not only can you expand into those sensations, deepen into the pleasure present even in the darkest moments, but in that surrender, you can take all of that energy you've harnessed and sat in, and you can alchemize it into what you desire. So in the BDSM community, the role that I felt most natural in and really came to love and really still live my life in every day is that of the submissive. It's interesting because I'm a very dominant person in the day-to-day life, it would seem. I like to be in charge, if you will. But I also have this really deep feminine quality, right? And none of this depends on gender. You can sink into your submission regardless of your gender. For me, sinking into submission at first was a very scary thing. I used control, I used dominance, which is the first role I played, as a way to take my power back, or so I thought. You guys know my story. I had a lot of sexual and physical abuse growing up and even into adulthood. And I was taught from a very young age that the only thing that I was good for to a man is my body and my beauty and the pleasure that I could give, or the silence that I could contribute to a situation. And so I had these warped ideas of sexuality, of love, of pleasure, of pain. And through the physical abuse and through the trauma, I actually became really good friends with my pain because it felt natural to me. It felt like a form of love to me. When a lover abused me physically, I created stories around that he was doing it because he loved me and he couldn't control his emotions, and all of these really unhealthy subconscious patterns. And for a long time, I felt shame that I was turned on by violence, that I was turned on by these harder situations. And I wasn't realizing at the time that I had this unconscious desire to be protected and to be loved in the only way that I knew how, which was through pain. So stepping into the more dominant role, I thought that that was me reclaiming my power. I thought that was me standing in my power and really taking control of my life. But I still didn't feel fulfilled. I was in survival. I was struggling. I was in this really mask of control. And it wasn't just with lovers and relationships, it was also with God. I'd felt so deeply betrayed and hurt by God that I couldn't receive the love of the divine. I had to control it. And I controlled it by saying, I'll do all of these things. I'll achieve all of these things. I had my bachelor's degree by 19. I was teaching high school students full time, and I was only a year older than them. I had my master's degree by 22. I was a principal by 23, all the while raising 2 kids as an only parent and surviving cancer, healing from abuse. I felt like I had to be superwoman to prove to God, source, universe, that I was enough and that I was in control. And none of it was working. I was spiraling deeper and deeper into myself, into the pain, into the stories. And it's finally when I met my first Dom, I was 22 or 23. I was a principal at the time, and just searching for anything that could take something off of my plate. And this relationship really helped me to see how submitting was actually the truest form of power. It was in my ability to submit and to say, you can have me, I am yours. And to really surrender to that, knowing, because that sacred relationship was there, knowing that I would be protected and provided for, that my needs would be honored, and that any moment I could say no. But there was this deep trust of being edged out, pushed out of my comfort zone, that I realized was like the most free I've ever felt, to just freely lay back and receive pleasure, to freely lay back and alchemize the pain, the sensations into pleasure. And what that relationship evolved into for me on an individual basis was a really deep relationship with God's source universe, where I was able to take every piece of heartbreak that I was dealt in life, every sensation that felt uncomfortable, every form of physical, emotional, and mental pain, and simply kneel in it, to lay down all of my weapons and surrender and say, take me. Take me, I surrender. And when you can say that to pain, to heartbreak, to grief, what it does is it purifies your system. It clears out all of the stagnant energy, and you come fully alive. Because the thing is with the human condition is that we are somehow taught that we're searching for this pinnacle of success, this achievement, this pleasure, this happiness. But we're not taught that it's a choice in each moment to experience joy and pleasure. And it's our redefining those words and being able to say, this grief that is stretching me open and expanding my heart, this is a sensation that's showing me that I am fully alive, how deeply I can love, and I can allow myself here now in this grief to be completely connected and turned on by the life that is happening through and for me. Through the pain, through the anger, through the rage, you can feel it all. And as it comes into your space of creation, like we talked about through the alchemy series and the chakra series, you bring it into your space of creation and you feel it. You feel the energy for what it is. Energy, sensation. We don't need to label it good, bad, right, or wrong. It doesn't need to be sadness or anxiety or pleasure or joy. It's simply sensation in this human vessel. And when we can sit with that sensation and we can consciously choose what we desire to create, here I am experiencing this grief. This actually just happened to me. My dear friend was brutally taken from this earth about a week and a half ago. And as I sat in the grief, I felt my entire body come alive. I felt my entire body come alive. I felt myself expand to hold all of the pain, all of the grief, all of the rage, all of the unfairness. I felt myself expand into it, and I brought it down inside me. And I intentionally chose to create passion, joy, and love from this situation. Because number one, it was what she would have wanted for me. And number two, it's the way I desire to live my life. Now, I could have wallowed in the grief and told a lot of stories, but I didn't attach to a story. I didn't try to figure it out. I felt it and I alchemized it into something beautiful. I let the grief and the pain and the heartbreak be beautiful. Now, if we're talking about patterns and situations that we just can't seem to break, this is where we look at those unconscious desires that we have that are coming from the shadow or the unhealed inner child. For a long time, I was terrified to receive love, receive wealth, receive any kind of healthy love from a partner. I wanted it so badly, but I kept attracting all these relationships where these men and women were emotionally unavailable. They could not meet me where I was. There might have been passion, there might have been this deep connection, but the emotionally availability, the ability to hold me, the ability for me to truly feel safe and receiving wasn't there. And I kept doing the work and nothing was shifting. And then one day I realized I have this unconscious desire to control. I say I want to receive. I say I want to receive the wealth and the love and the connection, but I have this deep desire to control. And so I sunk into that feeling of control and I owned it. And I owned it and I let myself be turned on by it. And I opened to this feeling of control. And then it showed me, you don't really want control. You want to feel safe. And so I deepened into that unconscious thought of wanting to be safe. And then it led me to, you want to be safe, but you don't feel like you can be safe with another person because other people equal pain. And then I sat with that and I let myself be turned on by that thought, by that idea. And then the most beautiful thing happened. It dissolved. And I laid back and I sank to my knees and I let life take me. And I said, I am ready to receive. And the wealth poured in and conscious relationships flooded my life. A beautiful community of friends and connections that were conscious and healthy and could hold space for me. And it's through being brave enough to look at the unconscious patterns and instead of resisting them, allow yourself to not just own them, but to be completely turned on by them, to see them as this powerful, beautiful gift that you were given. Contrast and unconscious patterns, our shadow self shows us what we really desire. I love when contrast shows up in my life because it's showing me more of what I desire. When jealousy shows up in your life, what it's showing you is that your heart and soul knows that whatever that person is experiencing that you feel jealous of, you can also experience. And not only can you, but you desire to. And if instead of judging yourself or feeling into to all of the things that come with jealousy. Expand into that feeling of, I want that. I desire that. I crave that. And let yourself own it. Let yourself own it fully. When you feel rage or anger, let yourself own the way that a part of you felt violated or betrayed. Sink fully into it. And as it dissolves and purifies your vessel, take that energy and create passion and fire and a desire to create change from this situation. When we can sink in to every sensation of life, and instead of resisting it, be completely turned on by it, because life is happening for and through us. When we can completely surrender and submit to the way life is moving through us, we create magic and miracles in our daily existence. It's from that place that we truly stand in our pure power, the power to surrender to what is. And as you do that, there is nothing in this life that can knock you down or throw you out of your center. Because instead of resisting and pushing it away, you are in submission and completely turned on by it. Pain doesn't have to be something you shy away from. And in fact, the more that you can allow yourself to create those beautiful, pleasureful endorphins as you experience pain, which is what BDSM did for me, the more that you can surrender to it. You can take this physical training of sensate practice and creating power and pleasure from these painful experiences, and you can become the master of your life. That is true freedom, to be able to stand on a foundation of peace amidst the chaos that surrounds us. I envision this for you, and I know that as you deepen into yourself and allow yourself to redefine the labels that you've cast upon different circumstances, situations, and sensations, you can change everything. So breathe. Know that you are held and safe, and surrender to life happening for you. Later this week, you're going to hear part 3 of a beautiful series Douglas White and I created on contrast, and on Friday, a guided meditation to help you really learn to alchemize pain into pleasure. I hope you enjoyed today, and I'll see you next week for another episode of Embodied Divinity. As always, breathe deep and plan on miracles. Thanks for listening, Divine One. It truly has been an honor to guide you deeper into yourself today. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to create a ripple of support for my podcast, please share it with your friends, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. You can find me on all the socials by searching Nikayla Mariah or checking the link in my bio. As always, breathe deep, plan on miracles, and know life's about to get a whole lot more magical.